Hey guys, today I thought we'd do Batter My Heart by John Donne. This here is John Donne, he's a 17th century poet, and this poem is about a guy who's asking, how do I reach God? What's the best way to reach God? Is it through emotion or reason? Should I love God or respect him more? We get this idea that love is on an equal footing, whereas respect is putting someone on a pedestal above you? And should I assert myself as part of God's creation or deny myself out of respect for God? These are the alternative ways of experiencing the world that John Donne is going to talk about. That, however, is a quote from John Carey, not John Donne. John Carey is the biographer of John Donne. Batter my heart, three-person God, for you as yet but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend, that I may rise and stand, o'erthrow me, and bend your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. I, like an usurped town to another due, labour to admit you, but oh to no end. Reason, your viceroy in me should defend, but is captive and proves weak or untrue. Yet dearly I love you, and would be loved fain, but I am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, untie or break that knot again. Take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free, nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. Context is going to be really important here because John Donne was a Catholic living in a time when Catholics were persecuted. It was punishable by high treason to be a Catholic. This is why John Carey writes he was born into a terror and formed by it. So when you get these scary images of prison, maybe think about that. He was even reported to have witnessed an execution of Catholics. Edmund Campion was an example of someone executed under Elizabeth I, who was a Protestant queen. But when he was in his 40s, John Donne decided to convert and he became a Church of England or Anglican priest. So there's that idea of being changeable, from going from reason to emotion and back, that we get in this poem. The second thing we can look at is metaphors. This poem is just packed with metaphors. The biggest one is the usurped town, and it's really complex and interesting, but I'm just going to give you one interpretation, and I'd really encourage you to form your own. So in my interpretation, John Donne, the poet, is the usurped town, and I would argue it's connected with the viceroy. Some words there just to familiarize yourself with. Usurped means taken by force, and viceroy means a ruler of a colony on behalf of a monarch. So when Donne calls reason a viceroy, it's the idea that reason is kind of an ambassador for God. It's there on behalf of God. So John is the usurped town, and the town is ruled by reason initially, but then it's usurped by emotion. And emotion imprisons reason. You get reason is captived. And then that's one part. Then you start to get John associating himself with the captived reason. And he's saying, God, free me, divorce me, untie me, break the knot, so that I can love you and be with you. And yet there's a contradiction there, because if the knot is a marriage knot, he's saying, divorce me so that I can marry you. It doesn't really work, especially with the idea that nuns were brides of Christ, that Catholics should love God, and he's battling between these two things. And at the end, he makes another change. He wants to be imprisoned by emotion. He goes from one to another. So free me, God. Actually, no, I want to be imprisoned. That's part of the changeability that we talked about, and it's reflected in this syntax. When I talk about syntax, again, I'm talking about the arrangement of words in the sentence, the order of words, and I'm particularly talking about these last three lines. So these bits could even be hyphenated off. For I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free. Or perhaps they could even be bracketed off, those two bits. And yet John Donne refuses to do that. He just barrels straight through. He bulldozes through the line, and we get this real sense of confusion by the end with, for I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free, nor ever chaste except you ravish me. It's going from one to another, and it kind of mimics John Donne's constant alteration between emotion and reason.